So they kind of had their checklist. They got that with guys who, like you kind of mentioned too, are going to need time to develop, but they have those guys. And the thing that I've learned too about some of those guys, I think of the stories of the Caden Weegens. They are so eager to play at this level. They want to be here. They want to be within this Iowa program. And I think you're going to see just how hard they're willing to work because of that. Moving into the next question that we have from the audience, actually, is about this punter coming in, this portal punter from Simpson College. And essentially, how does that transition going from one level to a D1 level?
Yeah.
How does that translate? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Simpson's a Division III school, so fans are correct in questioning, does this kind of guy, this kind of player translate? But it's punting. You have to be athletic to be a punter, but the height and weight thing doesn't really matter. And footballs are footballs, and the guy we're talking about is Tanner Philpott from Simpson. He was Division III All-America. In his sophomore season, he averaged 43.9 net yards per punt. That was as a sophomore. As a sophomore, Reese Dakin was at 41.1 yards per punt. None of those guys were even close to Torrey Taylor's senior season of 48.2. So I am a little hesitant to say he's going to fill in just fine because we know LeVar Woods, who's one of the best development coaches in terms of special teams, is no longer there.
I think that's the biggest key right now is that you have a completely new way that special teams is going to be run. You don't know, obviously, how this Tanner guy is going to fit into that. But I mean, football is football.
Yeah,
it's going to translate,
That's
what he does and what he has done has been impressive. Still 2 years of eligibility for him as well. So I think it's going to be a guy who's eager. He's also from Iowa.
Milwaukee Northwest guy.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't speak because he's from a little bit out farther, but maybe growing up he watched the Hawkeyes, so this is going to be a great opportunity for him. But you can't necessarily in this day and age put it as the jump from division to division because we've seen the Caden Weegens come in. We've seen just like you said, the Mark Gronowski's come in and guys like that. So at the end of the day, it's a wait and see. But I mean, when you look at this portal class right now, you think the Hawkeyes are sitting in pretty good standings, right?
I think they're doing all right, yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll start with an audience question to move into this topic, wrestling right now. How can we fix Iowa wrestling was the question. We physically cannot fix Iowa wrestling. However, you were at Iowa Penn State on Friday. Talk me through that duel and just kind of the fans, the atmosphere there, because Iowa did not do well against Penn State. But at the same time, this Penn State team is one of the best that they've had in a while. So what were kind of your just takeaways from that duel?
I think Iowa's got to look internally, and Iowa fans might be looking internally, as in saying to themselves, do we have the team that's worthy of a national championship? And if we don't, how can we get there? I think there's some anger on social media from fans about Tom Brands and Terry Brands and this Iowa program and not measuring up to Penn State. You know, it's Iowa. It's Dan Gable. It's one of the, if not the most legendary historical programs in men's college wrestling, and you're just not close to Penn State. But inside Carver Hawkeye Arena, I was there on Friday. Even through all the losses, the Iowa fans were into it. They were loud. So I think Nasir Bailey, who you're seeing right here at 141 pounds, lived up to that with some early aggression, and it paid off, winning 3-2. But when it comes to the individual matches, most of them, obviously 9 out of 10, Iowa lost. I think Iowa could have used some more aggression. Tom Brand said the quote, "When you're on the periphery of that stalk, it doesn't work out well." Now, what does periphery of that stalk mean? I think it kind of means like Penn State, the guys are stalking you, their aggression, they're aggressive, and when you're on the periphery, when you're on the outside, you're not being aggressive. Does that make sense? And I think when you're looking at some of the matches, Drake Ayala lost 5-2. He didn't have a takedown. Jordan Williams didn't have a takedown. Gabe Arnold didn't have a takedown. Ben Keeter didn't have a takedown. It would be worthy of Iowa to be a bit more aggressive. However, I will say, I'm not making excuses for Iowa, but that Penn State team might be the best collegiate team I've seen in my time in Eastern Iowa. We saw Indiana on the field. They're playing in a national championship for football tonight. Penn State was a better wrestling team than Indiana was a football team. They were just incredible. I think if you wrestle that duel, Iowa-Penn State 100 times, Iowa wins maybe 2 of them.
4-time defending national champs, right? And it
happen.
showed up on paper. Iowa's losses, though, Ohio State, that was at the national duels. The loss to Iowa State as well. And then Penn State. The Penn State, though, was the biggest gap in this duel history. But Iowa State, for the longest time, has been kind of clawing at the Hawkeyes, inching closer and closer and closer. So it was no surprise maybe this year that they finally got them, because that's kind of what they were on the verge of doing. But if you look at Ohio State, Iowa State, Penn State, they're all ranked, all ranked programs. I think the Hawkeyes in Penn State, that was their 8th ranked duel of the season, and it's only December. You know what I mean? That was crazy to me to think of. But this disconnect between the fans online, we'll call it, and the fans in the arena, there is a lot of negativity around the program, and there's just a lot of frustration. But I liked the thing too that Tom Brand shared after the duel, and that was essentially that you could hear in his voice that he feels some certain way about taking the ownership and saying he does have the right guys, but now it comes down to coaching. What were your thoughts on that statement? Yeah,
I like that he took accountability, and he did the cliche that Tom often does, which is talking about aggression and talking about you have to be in the center of the mat and all that. I can parrot that as well as I can, because I don't know wrestling nearly as well as a lot of wrestling fans. But the thing that made me step back and say, okay, this is Tom Brand's taking some accountability, is he said the soundbite that we were all waiting for, which is there is a gap between Iowa and Penn State. We were all kind of thinking it. It was the first time I remember him actually saying it. And then he said, it's on me. He paused a second. It's on the program. It's on the coaches to fix that. We have the right guys. He didn't necessarily say we have the best lineup we can have. He actually corrected me. I said, your guys are right there. No. I didn't say, Jack, that the guys were right there. He says, I have the right guys. Now it's up to me and our program and our coaching staff to get them to that next step. So to repeat after you, I like that he took the accountability, because the fans are looking for that.
I think you can hear the emotion, though, too, in
his
voice.
Obviously,
he's a very animated person and everything, and obviously a big-time competitor, but the emotion behind that, I think, is what stuck with me. And I think this season, it just feels like there's so much off-the-mat drama, to be honest. And I think that isn't necessarily typical for this Iowa wrestling team. You had the Gabe Arnold off the team, on the team sort of drama, the Bo Bassett when he decommitted, one of the top wrestling recruits in the country from Iowa. He said it wasn't the fit that he thought. And then obviously Mo and Dean last week, he's no longer with the team. They had a lot of high hopes from him at 187, but Tom Brand's kind of said, said his piece with that he's no longer with the team. You can read what you want on social media. I think there's a lot more to that story. Actually, I know there's a lot more to that story. But can you think of, even in our time here, so much drama. I think that also comes, though, with the fact that this is Iowa. And they are a top dog. People want to take down the top dog, so why not kind of have things circulate? What are your thoughts just about the off-season, off-the-mat drama?
When it comes to the off-the-mat drama and social media, when you have a program like Iowa, kind of like the Yankees in football, or the Yankees in baseball, Dallas Cowboys in football, there's just going to be more noise. Even the littlest rumor, the littlest drama, it's going to be louder, and you were referencing that. The question I have for Iowa fans is the juice worth the squeeze? With Tom Brand, he's been one of the best coaches in the nation for a couple decades now, but he just lost to Iowa State, and he just lost to Ohio State, and he just got wrecked by Penn State. And is that off-the-mat drama going to be worth it? It's a question Iowa fans are going to have throughout the rest of the season, too.
And before, just kind of put a bow on this, doesn't that make this Nebraska duel so much more?
Huge, because then the heat really gets turned up if you lose to Nebraska.
And it's on the road, too, correct? Yeah.
They're going to be going crazy in Pinnacle Bank.
Of course. I mean, Nebraska is also another ranked program. Sweet. All right. We will talk men's hoops when we come back. All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. We are going to talk Iowa men's hoops now. Sitting 13-5, they finally snapped that 3-game losing streak with the win at Indiana against, of course, DeVries and company, former Drake coach, winning 74-57. I feel like now, I know their schedule gets a little bit easier from now on, but I feel like now that they've put the pieces together, especially on the road, that, you know, this is a team that's going to put it together. I felt like during the Purdue game, they were so close, even before then so close, and now they're kind of rolling. Thoughts?
Yeah, showing highlights against Illinois. This team just came out flat on that Sunday, even though the crowd was hyped up. They were down 21-5 at the under 12 timeout in the first half. You just can't do that in the Big Ten and expect to win no matter who you're against. But they turned around and played really well against Purdue, and I thought they played great against Indiana. Bennett Sturtz kind of had his I'm him performance, a great mix of setting up the offense, passing to his role players, while also knowing when it was time to take a step back and make a deep three. He had a couple deep threes in the face of Connor Enright, who actually used to play at Drake under Darren DeVries and rejoined him at Indiana. So I think that's kind of a feel for the game thing that we know now, okay, Bennett Sturtz has it. He knows when it's time to turn it up for himself and to give it to his teammates. And I was really impressed, generally speaking, with the role players, including Tavion Banks, who played a lot better than a typical role player. He had a career-high 26 against Indiana.
Well, I think what you saw, too, is that, yes, Sturtz is going to get his points. Sturtz is probably going to be one of the top scorers, but you finally had someone kind of leveling out a little bit with him. I mean, Sturtz had his 27, then Tavion Banks had 26, and then his 8 rebounds, 2 assists to go with that. So you had 2 contributors. I think for the longest time, there was kind of this drop-off, you know, with kind of their core group of guys. But when you have that complementary with Banks and Sturtz, it's like, okay. And you can also I mean, they played, and Indiana is not an easy place to play on the road. And then they got off to a nice start. It wasn't sluggish, and I think that was kind of the last 4 games, if you will. That's kind of what they struggled with just a little bit. Tavion Banks, though, he's a guy that's been able to do it all
Yeah.
He's a great defender, but to see him, I guess, have his scoring opportunities and get that, what do you think just kind of he has meant in his role to this team?
In his press conference after the Indiana game, Ben McCollum said that Banks was a player after my own heart, meaning like he's just a scrappy, tough guy. He's strong, but he's not exactly big enough to be a true Big Ten 4 or 5 man, yet he does it. He does almost everything well. He plays tough. He plays sick, literally. Ben McCollum was saying, I was so impressed with Banks on Sunday playing sick against Illinois, and then he played more metaphorically sick against Indiana, doing just about everything well. Obviously, he makes his living on the inside, Banks, but he also made an outside shot as well. He's shooting over 50% from behind the arc on very few attempts. It's something like 20 attempts, but it still shows his versatility. And I think this Iowa team is kind of cracking the ceiling a bit. Maybe Iowa fans were worried after the loss to Illinois, the loss to Purdue. Oh man, does this team have a cap? Does this team have a ceiling? But winning in Bloomington is not easy to do, and it's not the same as winning at Purdue, but it shows that this team can kind of break through that sort of ceiling.
I think so. And now that they do have their first official, this is an audience question that we got. They got their first official road win. I guess what's next? How do they kind of use that as the stepping stone moving forward?
I just want to see even more from these role players. Cale Combs is very crafty on offense. He plays well on defense, and he's also pretty good in catch and shoot. Cooper Koch and Tate Sage are kind of your classics. Stand in the corner, make your threes. But Sage is maybe a little bit more athletic than we initially thought as a true freshman. He can get down the floor. He's really good after steals, getting to the rim. So I just want to see more from the role players. I don't necessarily foresee Cale Combs dropping 18 points in a game or Cooper Koch doing the same thing, but I just want to see them on the floor as much as I can, and in these theoretically more winnable games against the Rutgers or against Northwestern, see what they can do consistently, because we're in it. We are fully in the Big Ten schedule. You're playing 2 games a week. These are physical games, so how can you do after a few weeks of that? Got a lot of these former Drake guys have been answering that question.
Well, you mentioned what's upcoming. Rutgers Tuesday, that's tomorrow. Rutgers towards the bottom of the Big Ten. USC right above Iowa in the rankings. Oregon and Washington, though, combined have 1 win in the Big Ten. I mean, they're 1-13 against Big Ten opponents. So this stretch of this schedule is favorable in Iowa, especially just getting things figured out, feeling confident, because guess what? Then you got Purdue again, and then you got Nebraska. So it only goes up from there. But as far as this stretch, maybe what do you hope to see from this Iowa team? Because these teams are the teams that should be beatable.
I want to see at least 1 or 2 more of those type of I'm him games from Bennett Sturts. They might not necessarily need it, but you never know. A team can get hot, and Sturts might need to hit 4 out of 6 threes and go for 28, 29 points. That's huge. I know Iowa plays very, very slow. They're 344th in the country in adjusted tempo per KenPom. That's an advanced statistic. And they're really good on defense. They're actually number 2 in the country in field goal attempts by an opponent. So the problem for that is that if you have a really efficient team like Purdue, who's just good and doesn't turn the ball over, then you might fall behind and you might be in trouble. However, it means you can beat teams like Purdue. You can beat teams like Illinois. The negative, though, we have how many games? 4, 5, 6 games coming up that are theoretically winnable. When you're playing that slow and the other team just so happens to get hot, any NCAA men's basketball fan knows about the Virginia men's basketball team. They're typically the slowest in the country, but at least on at least a couple occasions, they've been upset by a mid-major in the NCAA tournament. This is kind of apples to oranges, but just so you know, Iowa plays very slow, so they might be in a dogfight with a USC or a Washington, a team that you would think they'd beat by 10, that they might be a little bit too close for comfort.
Hey, as long as there's no more moral victories, I think Ben McComb's going to be okay. All right, we are going to talk about Iowa women's hoops. Joanna Mantz is going to join us right after the break.
Check, 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 check. There we are. Hello. Welcome, everybody. It's a great day to be a Hawkeye fan. Oh, thank you. All your notes. Way to go.
All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. Jack Lido still with me, as well as Joanna Mantz. Hannah Stuelke's bomb. The Iowa women, though, they cracked the top 10 for the first time in 2 years. Obviously, an impressive win just yesterday against Michigan State, from Chit Chat's half-court buzzer beater to Hannah Stuelke, Ava Hayden in double digits. I'll start with you, Joanna. How fun was that one?
It was great.
Yeah.
I knew Michigan State would be tough because, you know, I keep an eye on all things basketball. But I knew that they're a pressing team, and that can be difficult. Chit Chat's only a sophomore, so it was like, oh, how are we going to deal with the pressure? But, you know, we came out guns blazing, ready to go, even though we didn't have a lot of guns. But I was really excited. It was a good game. It was a great atmosphere. Carver was rocking. I really like Hannah and Ava playing together. That's fun. So yeah, it was a great game. I was happy to be a part of it.
And Jack, you were there as well. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was huge that they got Grace Van Slooten into some foul trouble early, and then it really let the bigs, Ava Hayden and Hannah Stuelke, feast, and Addie Deal. She was tremendous. Yeah. We'll talk about her a little bit later, but I love her coming off the bench, providing a spark plug. Chit Chat, right, was great. And in the fourth quarter, Iowa made some huge plays on defense when Michigan State had no choice but to put Grace Van Slooten onto the floor, even with the 3 and later 4 fouls. They started just really locking down on defense, and Hayden and Stuelke, each of them had a steal in the fourth quarter. Hayden had a block. The big key I had in my breakout story on Sunday night was that those two did not get into foul trouble while Grace Van Slooten did. Yeah. And that could very easily go the other way in the Big Ten. And that's not a comment on the referees. That could just happen when you're banging bodies down low. That, you know, there could be a time a week and a half ago from now where Ava Hayden has 2 fouls early, or Stuelke has 2 fouls early.
Yeah, I think that has happened already throughout the season, and they've had to adjust. But Hannah obviously named the Big Ten Player of the Week against the Ducks on Thursday. 18 points, nearly a triple-double in that one. 18 points, 8 rebounds, and then 8 assists. And then Sunday, Stuelke obviously led the offense again, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. She is just stacking the sheet. And it was so physical, I thought, in the post, specifically against the Spartans on Sunday. Mom, was that a proud moment when you're like, all right, Stuelke's in, she's the Big Ten Player of the Week?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My husband sent the text when he saw the graphic come out today. So that's always exciting, always great to get those kind of texts and phone calls and stuff. But yeah, my husband pointed out earlier this year, someone had made a comment about, Hannah maybe not being at where her potential should be. And she brought out a really great point. She plays at a high clip. And if she is going full speed against players who aren't guarding her full speed, injuries can happen. So she's not that she holds back, but sometimes when you're a high flyer like Hannah is, you kind of ease up just a little bit in some of those games. So I just really thought that was wise of him to point that out, that we're seeing the Hannah that we've always seen because I'm her mom and because I'm a nostalgic, goofy mom. I was watching back some old videos today of when she was in, 6th, 7th grade playing, and I really didn't mean to say that, but 7th and 8th grade playing against, girls, and just she's always had these moves, they've always been there. She's always played like this, but it was really great to see her be able to play at such a high clip against high caliber players. So yeah, it's just good stuff to watch.
Yeah. I've been so impressed with her passing. I mean, the 8 assist numbers. I was at the game, the Oregon game. She had 8 assists against Oregon, and I didn't even see that until I looked at the stat sheet. Yeah. I broke it down. 13 assists in the 2 games against Oregon and Michigan State. 5 were out to 3-point shooters, and 8 were actually paint-to-paint touches, going to Hayden or maybe to Journey Houston. I'm not really sure any hard-hitting analysis on that. I just found that interesting. It's like she could do multiple things.
Yeah.
Her leadership has been huge. We've been talking about it all year. How is Hannah Stuelke going to become a more vocal leader? And Jan Jensen said after the Michigan State game, Hannah felt some tightness and sentimentality about her senior year, but, quote, I think she's freed up and doing it with her actions. Have you seen that, Joanna, just like actions and words with her senior leadership?
Definitely. When we were at Indiana, I remember watching them in a huddle, and she was really, in the ear of her teammates, hyping them up, doing whatever. She does kind of provide the hype before the games. So when they're in that little huddle, you might see her in there, and I said, oh, what are you saying? And she said, Mom, I can't tell you. So, right? There might be some interesting things said, but she did say that in the Indiana game, she said, after this game, they're going to ask, who's your daddy? And we want to be able to answer, So I thought that was funny. But yes, she has become more of a vocal leader. And I think we saw some strong leadership yesterday as well. There was a play at the end of the game. If you watched the game, you saw it when Hannah got the ball in an out-of-bounds play and had this really nice, fade jumper, beautiful, Jordan-esque. And I just texted her a little bit ago, and I said, hey, was that the play that was drawn up? And she said, nope, I just stepped up and did it. And so that was really amazing because I had just been saying, I was talking to, my seat mates at the game, and I said, someone has to want to score. You got to want to score. You got to want to score. And then she did, and I was yelling at her. Who wants to score now? So it's just good stuff. Good leadership all around.
We did have an audience question before we get to break. Why did she have an ice pack on her head?
I don't see those things in the game. Well, I do know last time she had an ice pack on her head, she just gets so hot. So, like her mom, she's hot.
Whatever works. We're going to have more with Joanna and Jacko after the break.
Welcome back to On Iowa Live. Frank Balvance here, being joined by Mike Riley. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for Ability Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness.
Yeah, Frank. My name
Welcome back to On Iowa Live. Frank Vance here, being joined by Mike Riley. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for Ability Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness.
Yeah, Frank. My name's Mike Riley, and I'm a physical therapist, and I got my training from the University of Iowa as an athletic trainer. I grew up in Lisbon, Iowa, so I'm from this area, and I love this area.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about more what you do for the community and for Ability Physical Therapy.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of being part of a private practice, and as a private practice, we're in the community and we pay property taxes, we employ people in the community, and we try to give back to the community, both through the sponsoring schools and then also doing community activities.
Very good. Well, we appreciate you, and thanks for being a sponsor with us here on Iowa Live.
All right, thank you.
All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. Wanted to mention, though, Addie Deal grabbed a Big Ten Freshman of the Week, and she's the first freshman since Caitlin Clark to record 18 points or more against a Big Ten opponent for the Hawkeyes. Obviously, she had, that impressive game against Oregon. One of our audience questions, though, was like, are we finally seeing her? And I'm like, well, okay. Addie Deal was a 5-star recruit, one of the top recruits in the 2025 class who committed to Iowa. So we already know she's good. I just think it's a matter of getting her minutes. But I also think, too, you're going to want Addie Deal when the Big Ten tournament rolls around, and you got to play 4 to 5 games down the stretch and things like that. But to see her at this stage in the season, I guess, if you will, playing at this level, what do you guys think of her performance?
I just love her role as a spark plug. I think in an alternate reality, an alternate universe, she's a 5-star recruit. She's a lead guard or a 2-guard, and maybe she has to control things, and she's on the floor too much, and the fans get on her too much. And now as this spark plug, she comes in off the bench. She can handle the ball quite well. Great passer, great shooter. She doesn't have to do it all. And I think that's a credit not only to Jan Jensen and Addie Deal herself, but also to Chit Chat Wright for kind of commanding this lead guard role and letting Addie Deal come off the bench. Now, there's going to be a moment where it might not be this year, but there's going to be a moment where Addie Deal, she needs to come on and play more than 30 minutes a game and maybe start, maybe be a lead guard. But I really like the role she's in right now. So the question, has Addie Deal finally arrived? Yes, but also you can't expect this all the time from her. But that's the beauty of this deep Iowa team that Jan Jensen has run. She can do this in a game in the Big Ten tournament, and then maybe you don't hear from her for a couple days. Maybe she could do it again in the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be great. I agree. I like what we've seen from Addie. I like that in the Oregon game, she just had a little extra space and she pulled the trigger. We haven't seen that from her yet this year. And so, it sounds like she's in working on her game outside of practice and stuff, which is really important this time of year. And she's coming along. We still do see some struggle with pressure. She's, I think, just transitioning from high school to college, the speed is so much more. And then from college to Big Ten. Big Ten is by far the best conference, in my opinion, this year, top to bottom in women's basketball. And so, it's not that she's just playing against nobodies night after night. These girls are phenomenal players. They've paid their dues. They've been there, done that. And she's still trying to get that feel. So, she's gonna continue to grow. She's going to continue to learn how to play in the system and with the pressure. But I like what I've seen.
Yeah. Well, let's end with this one because this was an audience question. Well, we all are going to participate in. What's Iowa's women's basketball record going to be over the next 4 games? To tell the audience what the next 4 games. 15th ranked Maryland on the road, 12th ranked Ohio State in Iowa City, USC in LA, and then 3rd ranked UCLA in LA. So how are they going?
2-2.
2-2?
2-2.
Okay.
Wins over Ohio State at home. And against USC didn't really, probably won't have an answer for the forwards for Iowa. USC's best players, Jazzy Davidson, she's a guard. So I think 2-2. I wouldn't be surprised 1-3 or 3-1, but that's what a prediction is.
Yeah. I would say 3-1. I think if we continue playing basketball the way that we are, the only team that I'm afraid of, if you want to say that, would be UCLA. They just have They just have it. They've got the size, they've got the scorers, they've got the drivers, they've got length, they've got all of the things. But you know what? I would love to say 4-0.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, that's always
Change it.
possible. That's always possible. 4-0. I am also going 3-1 with UCLA getting them. I think though, yes, Maryland's good. It's at home. Whatever.
Yeah. Did anyone else notice that? I said this to my husband this morning. Coach Bluter did some of the commentary last night for Maryland UCLA.
Really?
I said, isn't that interesting? So, you know, her best buddy, Jan Jensen, might call her up and say, hey, what do you see that I need to know about these two teams? So thank you, Big Ten Network, for putting Coach Bluter as an analyst of that game, because I think it will help us.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Good stuff.
Thank you both for joining me this week to talk women's hoops and everything else. When we come back, we are going to have Jacob Meisner, the Mount Vernon girls basketball coach, join us on stage.
Check, mic check. Check, mic check. You bet.
All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. Joining me now is Jacob Meisner, the head coach of the Mount Vernon girls basketball team. First year in this role. Seems to be going pretty well. Are you enjoying this role?
We are having a blast in our first year. Yeah, it helps being a part of the team the last couple years as an assistant, knowing these girls, and then a lot of great returning leadership and a great coaching staff certainly has made a first-year head coach's job a lot easier.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, this team obviously coming off success, 3A state champs, no pressure, and then currently ranked third in Class 3A, 13-2 record. Is this where you thought this team was going to be sitting at this time?
Yeah, I think we certainly thought it was possible based on the talent returning and how deep we are. Certainly thought we had a chance to be here, but talk is cheap, I suppose. So it's nice that, again, the coaching staff and the girls have committed to the long grind of a basketball season. And it's nice to be in this position.
When you go from state champs and you return a lot of those same players, what is the hardest part about this season, especially the follow-up season, because you know that you want to obviously repeat that success?
Sure. So I think from year to year, our roster is completely different. It's a whole new puzzle to put back together. We lose 3 college athletes that played huge roles for us, and so that's a lot of minutes, that's a lot of shots to have to replace. So I think early on in the year, we're just trying to work those puzzle pieces and learn about this team and what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. Certainly we have an idea of what those might be, but you really don't know until you play some games, you get some bad film, which is what you want early in the year, and then hopefully by now we're kind of clicking into mid-season form.
Yeah. Is there a win or maybe even a loss that stands out to you so far this season that you guys learned a lot about this team?
For sure. I think there's certainly a win that comes to mind is we played Waverly Shell Rock a couple weeks ago, and that was our longest trip of the year. They're a powerhouse 4A program. I think they were undefeated at the time. College basketball players on the floor for both teams. And I just thought from start to finish, the team played so great. That was our best defensive performance. It was our best offensive performance. I had a lot of fun having a front row seat at that one, for sure.
Okay. What do you think you learned about that team in that win?
Well, I just think we have a bunch of players that just rise to the occasion. Like that was a really big game. Pressure was high, and our girls didn't blink. They just, I felt, jumped all over them, and I don't know, maybe I was the most nervous guy. The girls weren't nervous at all. And they kind of put me at ease there in the first 5 minutes, and it was a lot of fun. 32 minutes for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned, obviously, Waverly Shell Rock, and your schedule is pretty tough, too. Do you like the way that your schedule's been set up to kind of prepare you for the rest of the season?
Yeah. So I'm still learning, I suppose,
yes.
in my first year. But I do err on the side of let's go really heavy in the non-conference, especially early in the year. That kind of shows us who we are and what we need. And we just feel that those really tough teams are going to help us get to where we want to go at the end of the year. And so that is what happened with some of these early 5A schools. And but to me, I like it. But I don't know. Ask me next year if we lose 5 or 6, I might change my mind. But yeah, we want to schedule heavy. We want to play the best competition because that's what helps us get to where we want to go.
Currently on an 11-game winning streak.
Knock on wood.
What is going well for your team so far?
Well, we have really talented players, and we're very deep. Our bench is very deep. Our coaching staff is very committed to scouting opponents and planning practice. We just kind of have a well-oiled machine going right now, and it kind of starts and ends with our players. And so they got to make the plays on the floor. I think we're doing an okay job as a coaching staff preparing them, but at the end of the day, that's why, NBA players get paid more than their coaches. Those are the ones who win the games. And so talented players and a deep bench, I suppose.
Okay. How have you seen the bench specifically kind of play out this season? Has it just been super helpful, foul trouble situations, or what is it?
Yeah, well, we had a injury to a player who plays a lot and does a lot for us, and she had to miss 7 games, and that was opportunity for a handful of players to step up and play and show what they can do, and that's exactly what they did. We almost didn't skip a beat, and so I think just taking advantage of their opportunity was big. And then now that Taylor's back, we just plug her back in, and the bench is still clicking on all cylinders, and that's pretty scary. And so being able to lose a very impactful player and hold the fort down with other talented players, not everybody has the luxury to do that.
Absolutely. All right, when we come back, we're going to have the entire team join us on stage. Stay with us.
Hello? Oh, sorry. Hi.
Count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There it is.
Airball. Yeah.
Hey, welcome back into OnIowa Live. I'm here with the Mount Vernon girls basketball team. Let's introduce who is on the mic. I'll start with you first. Go ahead.
I'm Taylor Frank.
Beautiful. And you are?
I'm Courtney Frank.
Awesome. Wonderful. Just like an icebreaker question, I saw you guys did a lot of team activities. What's the shooting Olympics? What are the annual shooting Olympics?
Okay, so it's basically something we do before the end of the year or at the start of the year.
Okay.
And it's where we divide our team to play against each other in different shooting things.
Okay. What are some of the games? Like pig, like horse, like those things, like knockout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not
It's similar.
Okay.
It's similar.
So we do a lot of like layup drills,
Okay.
and you have a set time, and it's how many you can get in that time. So we do, what's the continuous layup thing?
Continuously. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways.
Sounds good. I like it.
Okay, well, we do that, and it's just based on how many you can get, how many you can make, and we calculate the scores, and whoever wins, wins.
Okay. Did we have teams though?
Yeah,
Yes.
the coaches divide them up.
Okay.
What are you guys wearing?
We decide on a theme prior to the day,
All
and
right.
then we have walkout, and we do a certain walkout move.
This
together.
sounds great.
A lot
I
of
love
pageantry.
this.
A lot of pageantry.
I love
Yeah.
this. So did we have a winning team?
Yeah,
Yes. Who was on the winning team?
Savannah,
Oh, raise your hand.
What was,
again.
what was
Don't
the
be
team
shy.
name?
and we
What
brought
was your
back.
team name?
Yeah.
The S'mores won.
And they were wearing different shades of brown, maybe like a s'more.
Okay.
Yes, I remember now.
All right, I love that. So far this season, we'll get to some basketball. Why do you think this team has had the success that they had so far?
Okay. Well, I personally think just how we get along together, and it's not just on the court. We're doing a lot outside of the court. We're going to get food. I mean, a lot of us do love food, so yeah. But we just get along so well, and that just really builds our relationships and how we play for on the court too.
Absolutely. And Taylor, you're back in now, correct?
I am.
How does it feel to be back on the court?
A lot better than off the bench or on the bench. I'll tell you that. But we had a lot of people step in roles and step up, and I think that was really important, especially in the long run for sure.
Yeah. How has it felt going against some of these opponents this season, knowing that you guys are the defending champs?
I feel like it doesn't really feel any different.
Okay.
Like we have a job to get done, and we're gonna go and compete with everyone, and I feel like that's just our goal.
Okay. 11-game win streak. What's working so well?
Well, I think we're working together really well. A lot of people, since Taylor was gone, a lot of people stepped up, and they're continuing to step up. We have many players that can score on a given night, and it's just we're working so well together. And we're going to face teams that are going to give it their all, and because we're so high up. But we know that, and even if we don't necessarily play our best, we get it done because we play as a team, and it's just how we roll.
Yeah. Coach, what areas are you hoping to see growth and improvement, maybe just at this stage in the season moving forward?
Yeah, so I think the challenge with a long basketball season is just continuing to stay diligent to every day chipping away and getting a little bit better. Especially in January, it's like it's cold out, spring break's far away, not much to look forward to. It's hard to put in the necessary preparation every single day. And that's what it takes to be as good as these girls want to be. And they have been walking the walk, but January is going to be extremely tough, both for the elements I just explained, and our schedule doesn't take any breathers. And so just seeing if the girls and the staff can continue to take the necessary steps to prepare and win.
Yeah. For either of you ladies, is there a victory that stands out that this team was able to get that kind of maybe defined what this team is all about?
I mean, a big one at the beginning of the season was Williamsburg.
Okay.
When we won in overtime, especially
Yeah.
without Taylor. I mean, that just really showed that we're a winning team, even without one of our best players. And then Waverly, when we got on them big to begin with and continued. So it really just showed we play this kind of basketball and we're going to continue to.
Was that Williamsburg? Was that decided in regulation?
That
It
was the
was-
overtime.
It was overtime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did it mean to kind of grind that one out? Especially, was it on the road?
It was
Yeah.
on the road.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a loud gym, but it felt really good, especially when we shut down some of their good players. So it was really good, yeah.
Yeah.
And to Williamsburg's credit,
Yeah.
they had us dead to rights through 3 quarters, and these girls just turned it to another gear and gave us a chance in overtime. And again, that was one of those examples of the girls just coming together and making it happen. Coaches are constantly searching for answers and trying to put the girls in the right situation, but sometimes the players just have to do it. And that was an example of that in the 4th quarter and overtime.
Coach obviously just mentioned, too, that this part of the season is kind of the grind. There's not a whole lot to look forward to at this moment. What do you guys do to kind of stay focused?
I feel like in practices, we just have fun.
Okay.
That's something that we are known for, and that's something we're going to continue. As long, also going on, dinner dates, as I like to call it, but just dinner time with all these girls.
Yeah.
Make it a lot better.
What do you guys like to eat? You guys have mentioned food a lot.
Okay, so we like to go to Orange Leaf.
okay.
Coils is a good one.
Uh-huh.
We actually have a team meal tomorrow outside of basketball.
Uh-huh.
I think our options are Canes, Orange Leaf,
Yeah.
on Wednesday actually.
Okay.
Wednesday, but Olive
yeah.
Garden or Coils.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our leading scorer, Savannah Wright, is fueled by candy.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, ladies, for joining me. And I just want to mention we will also have these ladies game against Solon on Friday on KCRG 9.2. That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
They're ranked, aren't they?
That'll be a great one.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We will see you again next week.
Welcome back to On Iowa Live. Frank Ballvance here, being joined by Mike Riley. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself and Welcome back to On Iowa Live. Frank Ballvance here, being joined by Mike Riley. Mike, tell us a little bit about